Alright, y'all, so today I want to talk about some crazy new updates in regards to the David case. I haven't made a video on this and it's been weeks, man. And to be honest with you, the reason why I haven't made a video update is just because, let's be honest here, there's really hasn't been that much going on in the case. There's been some small updates here and there. There's been a lot of updates from this private investigator who has been given a lot of kind of exclusive information. And, basically giving a little exclusive information, tidbits. But other than that, it's been mostly pretty quiet. I decided to take a break from the case. But today we have some big, and this is pretty much official news. David, the singer, is officially a suspect. Now, I'll kind of recap some of the previous stuff that happened, and I'll get into all the big news that happened today. So, in terms of little small updates, as far as I know, this private investigator who I want to mention as well, there's been other people saying that this guy's cap, that he's in it for the fame, glory. I'm not really sure what to make of that, but, he has been dropping exclusive information, so, it just feels like it's a little bit more than just that, right? But he basically mentioned that he was hired by the property owner where David was staying in one of the houses, that house that got raided by the LAPD a few weeks back. And basically mentioned that there was tools in there that indicated that maybe they had a plan to dispose of a body. And then he further on dropped more information saying that he knew the person that drove the Tesla, the last person that drove that specific Tesla, that there were other people involved in this. So this could have been a cover-up situation. Someone might have been helping David in question. Like I said, we don't know if there's any direct evidence of David doing it, but everything is starting to line up. Everything is getting kind of crazy. He also mentioned that at some point in January of this year, or 2025, there was something that may have happened. And he indicates maybe something happened. He also mentioned that, that there was apparently some kind of farmhouse in Texas. Maybe something happened there. I'm not sure what to make of that. And also other people have been speculating that, there's been other updates like, for example, trying to remember them. Some of David's friends have gone silent. Some people, of course, we don't know anything, and they, private their social media accounts and everything. And then the private investigator said that the FBI might be involved in this case, and that he basically, kind of posted a cryptic tease saying that this guy's cooked. Now, whatever that means, I don't know. And it didn't mean anything for a while, but after hearing today's huge news, yeah, man, David might be cooked. And this came after the news yesterday that TMZ kind of broke that sources in the LAPD are saying that, we have no suspect. We don't know if there's any crime. We don't know if this was a homicide beyond the concealment of a body. We just really don't have anything on the case. And this kind of angered some people. Personally, like I said before, I don't know if there's any direct evidence linking this guy to the murder of the minor. But that being said, I do think this guy should at least be convicted of, child SA, pedo charges. At the very least, there's just too much circumstantial evidence pointing to that. But it seemed like the news and the status of this case took a complete reversal. TMZ broke it. Some other sources, too, from official news agencies in the LA area also collaborated, and apparently maybe have their own sources as well. But David is now a suspect. And they mentioned a few other very interesting pieces of information in regard to this case. Not only David is finally a suspect in this case, which is something that, a lot of people online have been, very clearly stating that this guy's a suspect for the longest time. But maybe they have some information. Maybe they finally got some concrete stuff linking this guy to this minor's death, right? At least for sure he knew her and definitely was in a romantic relationship with. But not only that, David is now a suspect, but they also mentioned they're treating this as a homicide investigation. So, we had previous statements from the LAPD mentioning we don't know if there's a homicide here. We don't know, what kind of crime was committed here beyond the concealment of a body. So they weren't really, it sounded like they weren't treating this as a homicide investigation. Well, now they are. They're treating this as a murder mystery, murder investigation, whatever you want to call it. And that's crazy news. Crazy updates, man. It's really starting to feel like we might get some kind of climatic resolution or maybe justice that we have found in this case. Now, not only that, they dropped some other pieces of really interesting information that I want to mention. They mentioned that at some point in the spring of 2025, earlier this year, David took a trip out to Santa Barbara County, which is a county outside of the main LA city, I believe, or the LA district or whatever in California. He went to some kind of remote area and spent a few hours there. What was he doing there? It's very interesting that they would release that bit of information because they must think and indicate that something may have happened there. Now, it could have been they were trying to conceal the body, or the murder in question happened, or something happened. We don't know. But they just mentioned that he took a trip out in the spring of 2025 to Santa Barbara County in some remote area, and that's just very creepy stuff, man. Very creepy stuff. He also mentioned that this is not only a homicide investigation, but that David had help. There was other people involved with this. People have been speculating. Even the private investigators been saying this, right? There was other people involved in this. Some people were helping David possibly to cover this whole situation up. And I'm not saying that directly he did it, innocent and proven guilty, but, the LAPD did speak to news agencies and stuff that he definitely had help. Now, they didn't mention any suspects or anything in regards to other people potentially involved in this, but that he definitely had help. So they're probably, definitely those people that were with David right now, man. They're probably sweating up a storm. They definitely know who they are, and, I'm sure the LAPD, the feds possibly, are definitely keeping an eye on them. But yeah, man, David is officially a murder suspect. I think they also mentioned a few other things, like I think some other sources in the news said that apparently she may have been killed. Not just David made a remote trip out to Santa Barbara in spring of 2025, but maybe that was possibly the time period that she died, and that lines up with basically being left in the frunk of the black Tesla. And I also wanted to mention as well that I think they're also reporting that the body was dismembered, or cut up, so to speak. It was chopped up, which we didn't really know. I mean, I think it might have been reported, but I'm not sure if it was confirmed or anything. A lot of people were just kind of reporting it as it was. It could have been also the case where it's the body was so decomposed that it naturally decayed and fell apart. But nah, I guess they're kind of confirming that it was chopped up. So big things to take away from this. David is now officially a suspect. This is treated as a homicide investigation. They mentioned that in spring of 2025, earlier this year, he made some trip and spent at least a few hours there, maybe days, who knows. But to spend a few hours there in a remote area of Santa Barbara, and that friends, other people were involved in this whole cover-up and situation. Man, it is not looking so good, man. I find it fascinating that, just the previous day they were reporting that, no suspects. There's this whole situation is not treated as a homicide. Whole 180, man. Whole 180 treated. It is crazy, man. It is crazy. This whole situation's getting even more disturbing. And what kind of freaks me out the most is that spring 2025 bit information. What really happened there, man? What happened in that time frame, and what led to all this? I'm very curious how this whole situation transpired. I'm sure online people are going to be speculating. Right now we don't really know if there's going to be any other people, named as suspects. People are kind of going crazy with speculation. It could be possible David will be arrested for this. We don't know. I mean, he's now officially a suspect. And they're now, finding out all this weird information. It could be possible an arrest is coming. Now, I'm not going to say without, for certainty, tomorrow he's going to be arrested. I don't think that's possible. But I don't know, man. He's now a suspect. Things are cooking, man. The situation is getting hotter. Things are not looking so great for David. Previously, he was kind of, they weren't naming him as a suspect. He was kind of cleared. It's not looking like that anymore, man. Things are heating up. I also wanted to give this little bit of information, too, that I found out about this whole situation that I find very fascinating. So back in September, when the whole situation broke, that there was a body in David's car, and his team, like, published a quick statement saying that, like, oh, he's cooperating with the police. Apparently, turns out he wasn't. He has not been cooperating with the police at all for this investigation. And he's been tight-lipped ever since the whole situation broke. So that was probably a bunch of lies from his team. That's once again not a good look, man. I mean, like I said, it doesn't make you guilty if you're not cooperating with the police. I don't like police myself, but it doesn't look good, man. If you're not speaking to the authorities, man, it makes you look more suspicious. And now the fact that something may have happened in spring 2025 that they're suggesting, and now David's officially a suspect, I don't know, man. Things are heating up, absolutely. I'll definitely, if there's some big major updates happening in this case, I'll definitely keep y'all informed and give you my thoughts on them. But yeah, he's a suspect, man. They're saying that he had help in this situation. Something may have happened in spring 2025. The body was chopped up. And I don't know, man. Maybe that private investigator, a few days ago when he posted that post that they cooked. I think these people are cooked, man. Things are heating up. We might get an arrest. There might be some official statement coming soon, but we will wait and see. Not going to hold my breath necessarily. We'll wait and see on this. But yeah, want to give you my thoughts on this crazy update in regards to the Davis case. Hopefully you all have a good day, and peace, y'all.